Sun's barely up, but the barn is already alive. Hooves shuffle, hay rustles, feed buckets clang. In the stillness of morning, a group of horses lines up for breakfast. They know the routine, but just as the grain hits the trough, thud. A sudden kick, powerful, precise, and unexpected, snaps the calm. One horse lashes out with both hind legs. The one beside it stumbles back, ears pinned. It happens in a flash. No warning, you can see. No obvious reason. But this isn't just a bad mood or a fluke. This is instinct, ancient, deeply wired, and triggered by something as simple as food. So why do horses, herd animals by nature, turn on each other at the feed trough? Is it dominance, hunger, territory, or something else entirely? In this documentary, we'll break down the truth behind feeding aggression in horses, from subtle body language to full-blown kicks, and reveal what these powerful animals are really saying when dinner turns into a showdown. Let's explore with Animal Prime. It starts with something so ordinary it's easy to miss. A row of horses, heads down, grain crunching under teeth, tails swish lazily. But beneath the surface of this peaceful scene is a silent tension, a primal edge waiting to snap. Food for horses is not just nutrition, it's a resource. And in nature, all resources come with risk. Even among prey animals, especially herd animals, access to food is rarely equal. Dominance matters, timing matters, position matters. And when those factors collide, that's when hooves fly. Feeding aggression in horses isn't about being mean. It's not bad behavior, it's biology. This behavior, sometimes called resource guarding, is found across the animal kingdom. From dogs growling over bones to birds chasing others away from feeders, competition is universal. But in horses, it often takes the form of a warning kick. Fast, backward, and shockingly strong. And the closer the feed, the shorter the fuse. Research from the University of Pennsylvania's School of Veterinary Medicine found that incidents of kicking ear pinning, and threat displays increase up to 300% during feeding time, especially when hay or grain is limited, shared, or placed too close together. What looks like a sudden outburst is actually a predictable pattern, triggered by two things: a valuable resource. Another horse is too close. Let's break it down. Imagine a typical stable or paddock. The feed buckets go down, horses rush in. A dominant mare claims her space. Another horse, lower in the pecking order, tries to squeeze in. And within seconds, ears go flat. A leg lifts. A kick lands. It doesn't mean they hate each other. It doesn't mean they're angry. It means, back off. This one's mine. Unlike predators, horses don't fight for territory or conquest. But when food is involved, their survival instinct kicks in. Literally, wild horses roam vast plains where they can graze freely, side by side, for hours. There's space, there's movement, and most importantly, there's grass everywhere. But in domestic settings, we've changed the rules. We give them meals instead of open forage. We feed them on schedules, in shared spaces, in confined paddocks. And that means competition is no longer avoidable. It's forced. Even horses that get along perfectly the rest of the day can clash when the food comes out. Because in that moment, they're not thinking about friendship. They're thinking about instinct. Their brain goes into what behaviorists call resource mode, a temporary switch that prioritizes self-preservation over social harmony. And once that switch flips, even a subtle movement can trigger a response. A glance, a step too close, a flick of the ear that's misread as a challenge. This is why feeding time is one of the most dangerous moments in a horse's daily routine, not just for the horses, but for the humans around them. It's easy to underestimate the speed and power of a horse's kick, especially when their head is down and their focus is forward. But make no mistake, when startled, threatened, or crowded, their reflexes are lightning fast, and often the kick comes before the thought. That's because the horse's hind limb reflex is one of the most finely tuned in the animal kingdom. It's not just a defense mechanism, it's a communication tool. And when it happens during feeding, it's usually saying one thing: get away. Not forever, not out of hate, just long enough for me to eat in peace. To understand this better, researchers at the Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences conducted a study on feeding aggression in horses kept in shared paddocks. They found that the majority of kicks during feeding were not intended to make contact. They were air kicks, launched as warnings. Only when the other horse ignored the signal or intruded further did the kicks escalate. This tells us something important. Horses aren't looking for a fight, they're looking for space. And when that space disappears, so does their patience. So what can we do about it? That question, and the deeper social dynamics behind the feeding frenzy, are what we'll explore next. Because when it comes to horses, every kick has a reason, and every reason has a story. In every herd, there's a pecking order. Not in the way wolves have an alpha male or lions have a dominant pride leader. With horses, it's subtler, but just as structured. Their society is built on a fluid hierarchy where age, temperament, and experience define who leads, who follows, and who waits their turn at the feed trough. And while feeding aggression often looks sudden, it's almost always tied to social rank. The dominant horse, often an older mare in wild herds, claims first access to food, water, and shelter. Not because she's cruel, but because she leads. She makes decisions, and her confidence earns space. But leadership doesn't come with words. In a world without language, horses rely on something else: body cues, energy, proximity, and reflex. And among these, the kick is a last resort message with centuries of meaning behind it. Let's walk through a typical scenario. You've got 3 horses lined up at the feed station. One is clearly dominant. She was here first, ears relaxed but alert. A second horse approaches. She pauses, reads the signal, and stops short, standing just outside the invisible line. Then comes a third, younger, lower ranking, or just bold. She steps in too close, and the dominant horse responds. First a pinned ear, then a shifting hip, a glance over the shoulder, and then a kick. Not always a hard one. Often it's what ethologists call an air kick, a warning sent backward, fast and sharp, but just off target. It's not an attack, it's a boundary. A study from the University of Lincoln in the UK observed more than 50 horses over multiple feeding sessions and found that over 75% of kicks during feeding were ritualized, meaning they served more as signals than as contact strikes. In other words, the horse isn't trying to hurt the other, she's trying to communicate. And horses understand this language deeply. That's why many kicks result in immediate submission from the lower-ranking horse. A step back, a lowered head, or a shift to another feeder. They know what that message meant, because someday they'll send it too. But what happens when these signals get misread, or when space is limited and there's nowhere to go? That's when tension escalates, and the kick, once a warning, can become a reflexive strike. This is particularly common in domestic environments, where feed stations are cramped, food is concentrated in one area, and natural spacing is disrupted. In the wild, horses spread out, grazing for 16 hours a day across acres. There's room for avoidance, room for diplomacy. But in the stable, everything happens at once. Close quarters, high energy, and often no escape routes. That's why understanding horse body language during feeding is critical. Not just for other horses, but for humans too. Many kicks that hit handlers or caregivers aren't acts of aggression. It's misplaced communication, meant for another horse. A lifted leg, a shifting tail, or a rapidly swiveling ear can all signal, I'm uncomfortable. You're too close. And when a person steps into that moment, maybe to adjust a bucket or check on a horse, they become the accidental target of a kick that was never meant for them. This isn't a flaw in the horse. It's a breakdown in translation. To minimize risk, equine behaviorists recommend watching for early signs of discomfort, like tail swishing, tension in the flanks, sudden pauses in eating, or frequent glances toward others. These are signals that a horse is considering a response, one that may escalate if ignored. Another important factor is consistency. In herds where hierarchy is unclear, such as mixed age groups, frequent new introductions, or horses with trauma histories, feeding aggression spikes because uncertainty breeds conflict. Horses thrive on structure. They rely on it to feel safe. And when the rules are murky, they fall back on the one thing they trust: instinct. That's where the kick becomes more than communication. It becomes protection. But it's not the horse's failure. It's often ours. We underestimate how much stress we create by changing feeding routines, crowding food access points, or ignoring subtle cues that something's wrong. Because when a horse kicks, it's not just acting out. It's saying, I'm overwhelmed, I'm threatened, I need space. Understanding this, seeing the kick not as a weapon, but as a signal, changes everything. It shifts our approach from control to cooperation, from correction to comprehension. And in the next part of this journey, we'll look at what happens when that balance is lost. When space disappears, warnings are missed and instinct takes over, because the kick is only the symptom. The real issue? How we feed, where we feed, and whether we're truly listening to what our horses are telling us. There's a saying among horse people: it's not the feed that causes the fight, it's the space. Because when space runs out, instinct takes over. In natural settings, wild horses have the luxury of movement. They graze in loose formations, side by side, but with freedom to shift, back off, reposition. They rarely need to assert dominance through force because the land gives them options. But in captivity, space is finite. Feed is concentrated. And options? They disappear. That's when feeding aggression turns dangerous. What was once a warning kick becomes a real strike. What was a ritualized gesture becomes a reflex. Not out of malice, but out of stress. When horses are crammed around a single trough or fed side by side with no dividers, their fight or flight wiring gets compressed, with nowhere to flee and only one option left: defend. Studies have shown that horses in crowded feeding environments are far more likely to exhibit aggressive behaviors, including biting, kicking, and rapid displacement of lower-ranking herd mates. Even horses who've coexisted peacefully for years may react unpredictably when placed in tight quarters at mealtime, and the risks extend beyond just the herd. Many accidents involving horse kicks happen not during riding, not during turnout, but during feeding. Handlers step between two horses. A gate swings the wrong way. A flake of hay is thrown too close to an established hierarchy. And the result? A 1,000-pound animal acting on instinct. That's why the solution isn't to punish the kick. It's to redesign the system that causes it. Here's what equine behaviorists and veterinarians recommend. 1. Separate feeding zones. Give each horse their own designated space, ideally with visual barriers or physical distance between them. Even an extra 3 or 4 feet can prevent kicks. 2. Feed in a predictable order. Horses find security in routine. When fed in the same order each day, dominant horses learn they don't have to fight for position. It's already theirs. 3. Use slow feeders or spread hay piles widely. In open paddocks, spread multiple piles far apart. Ideally, one more pile than the number of horses. This reduces competition and gives lower-ranking horses a fallback. 4. Watch the signals. Don't just observe the kick. Watch what comes before it. A pinned ear, a lifted hind leg, a subtle weight shift. These are the whispers before the shout. And for those working with horses, trainers, caregivers, riding instructors, knowing when not to step in can be just as important as knowing when to intervene. Because in a battle over food, a well-meaning human can become collateral damage in a conflict that was never about them. But there's hope and beauty in all of this. Because when we step back and see the full picture, a horse's kick isn't just a violent act. It's a form of communication. It's their way of saying, I feel threatened. I need space. Please listen. And when we do listen, when we change how we manage their world, the aggression fades, because horses at their core are not combative creatures. They are sensitive, social, responsive. They prefer peace if we give them the conditions to feel safe. So the next time you see a horse kick at feeding time, ask not, what's wrong with that horse? But instead, what is that horse trying to tell me? Because behavior is a message, and aggression is often just the envelope. In understanding the kick, we unlock more than just safer stables. We unlock a deeper respect for the instincts that shape these animals and the environment we've placed them in. And maybe, just maybe, we'll learn that every kick, no matter how sudden, is a story waiting to be heard.